So we live together.
Yep.
We watch football together.
Yep.
We talk about football together.
Yep.
Why don't we just start a podcast?
Sounds like a plan to me.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Eye Test. It's your boy Lyés, and of course, the one and only CultureCams.
Yes.
Cam, how's your week been?
Roller coaster. You know how it goes,
Talk
man.
to me.
A roller coaster. We were both there at Wembley. Crazy game. One that I don't even want to talk about no more. You know what I mean? Had my rant. You know what I mean? It's going everywhere.
Have you cleansed yourself of the hatred in your heart?
The thing is, I've cleansed myself, and there's not certain things about Man United, but like, I remember I was saying the Premier League is finished.
Yeah, you were going crazy.
I was going mad. So that's the heat of the moment. But hey, listen, it's not too far of what I actually think. But I'll say it's like 70% of what I actually think. You know what I mean? The 30% was anger.
He was about to attack the institution, the organization.
So no, listen, I'm refreshed and I'm ready to talk ball.
Yeah, no, 100%.
You know
Me too, man. I'm feeling good. It's obviously the day after. Inter obviously securing the Scudetto, their 20th. So that means that they are now the second team in Italy to now have two. They're gonna have 2 stars over their badge. Them and Juventus as well. And they did it in some fashion, bro. Beating Milan. It's the first time a Serie A title has ever been decided in a Milan derby. Yeah. They've won 6 in a row against Milan. This is not a rivalry, bro. They always kick their ass.
Wow.
And finally, I think the coolest thing about this season, if they win all 5 of their remaining games, they'll win the league with over 100 points.
Bro,
crazy season.
I don't know why he's not linked to every single job in football
Simone
right now.
Inzaghi.
I don't get it. I know Italians are fiercely loyal to that. We've seen as players, and I'm sure managers are pretty much like that as well. But I just don't get it. I mean, maybe the Serie A hasn't got enough light on it. But I'm looking at Inzaghi. I'm even looking at Gasperini at Atalanta,
Thiago Motta
who's been bubbling for a while. Thiago Motta, he's probably gonna stay in the league at one of the
Juventus,
teams. Yeah, but I don't know. Liverpool need a manager. Bayern need a manager. United might need a manager.
Yeah, that's true.
Barcelona are flirting with it. Well, as it stands, they need a manager. How can this guy not be? You know what I mean? But hey, we'll see what happens.
You know, did you see what his brother said, people?
No.
He actually said he was the more talented player as well, too. Kind of going back to what we were saying about people. He said, he was actually the more talented player. Yeah. And maybe you're seeing it now as a manager. Like, it's kind of like the footballing IQ or whatever of Simone Inzaghi. So, shout out Inter, man. Shout out Leverkusen as well, too. They finally wrapped that up. But, guys, this is going to be a special episode. We're not going to really look at the weekend's action or the midweek action because the games are kind of coming thick and fast. Trying to pin down a narrative or a story from all of that is difficult. Instead, me and Cam have kind of been looking at the football calendar, what happened on this day, on this week. And one that me and Cam, I think we can both agree, have been kind of pinpointing for a long time because it is an important topic, not just for us, but for football in general, was April 25th. And that is the day that one of, if not the most important person in the history of the sport was born. And that is, of course, the one and only Johan Cruyff.
R.I.P., man.
R.I.P., of course, as well, too. Died not so long ago. But when we talk about Cruyff's impact on the game, because when we talk about the most important people, single most important people to touch this sport and kind of spread their influence, Cruyff has to sit right at the top, doesn't he?
Yeah. I think you're looking at number one. Yeah, I mean, looking at number one, there is, we've had a discussion before about like guys who we see as like Mr. Footballs, like the guys that are like, live and breathe football, like they're synonymous with the game, and you think about it, you often think about the people that have won it all as a player and pretty much won it all as a manager. So you think about Zidane, you think about Beckham, who actually went on to be chairman, I believe it was, at Bayern Munich as well. You think of them figures, but then Cruyff, yes, he didn't win the World Cup or anything like that, but his goes further because his goes to influence. Like, can I sit there and say that I look at Zidane and think, that's your influence? Maybe in the streets of Algeria and France. That's true. But can I say, that's Zidane in football? Or that's Beckenbauer? Maybe you can say Beckenbauer the way he played out from the back and stuff. But it's hard to kind of pinpoint because one, they're just special footballers as well. Like, it's not easy to replicate these type of people. But when I look at Cruyff, you look at him and he's got his fingerprints all over Ajax. Like, all over Ajax. And Ajax, even when I was growing up, they're one of them teams where without even knowing how good they were as a football team, you knew about their academy. You always heard about their academy. And then you look at Barcelona, their academy, what they've got going on, the way they played the game, their philosophy, the total football, we're going to talk about the dream team and stuff like that. But what he represented for the game.
Let's not forget the Dutch as well too.
The Dutch as well. So we're going to talk about total football. But he was basically the living embodiment of total football. And for him to like spread that across two major institution football clubs, and it just continue, and we're still seeing it to this day. We're still seeing it through Pep. We're still seeing it just like now when you're looking at this new current group of players, it all still feels like it stemmed from what Cruyff envisioned. So I think he's definitely the most important. No, I would say the most important, and I'll say he's the most important is hard to measure. But I think he's the most influential person in football ever.
It's crazy, right? When we use the word legacy, right? That's a word that, especially like Twitter and like the modern day fans, I feel like ever since The Last Dance came out, the word legacy has now become a sports fan's favorite word. But the issue I always find with the word legacy is that I feel like people kind of attribute legacy to what you won. Like, oh, his legacy. He won the World Cup. Like, bro, he won 8 Champions Leagues or 8 Ballon d'Ors, 5 Champions. That's his legacy. No. Not really for me. A legacy for me is how people remember you and the impact on the world that you make, not just in that moment, but long term. And that's why for me, Cruyff is the most influential person in this sport, because not only in terms of how Barcelona play, how Ajax play, how people think the game, but the fact that in 2024, his ideologies and his philosophy of how the game should be played is still kind of implemented largely in today's facets of football. That's incredible. So yeah, I think this episode, it really has to be one where we talk about the most important figures in football. But before we even kind of talk about the ones who came after Cruyff, I wanted to start off kind of at the beginning because you kind of talk about him and you say total football, right? He's not really the originator of total football,
He's not the originator. He was the embodiment. He was the messenger. Do you
know?
So there was... you've never probably watched Dragon Ball Z, right? There's Dr. Zero, right? Dr. Zero, he's making the androids. You know what I mean? He created the android. But the android still had to go off and do it. Do you know what I mean? And how I see it is, I know you're about to talk about Michels. Michels is Dr. Zero. He creates the androids, which is Cruyff. Cruyff has to create something which creates Cell.
which is Pep Guardiola.
He had to create something which is Cell, and then Cell perfects it. And that's Pep Guardiola. Do you know what I mean? So the embodiment is the androids, but you know, the creator, the brains is Michels.
Yeah, Rinus Michels, man. I mean, this guy, when you because the first time I ever heard, okay, obviously my dad tells me stories or whatever, but the first time I ever really learned about him was on the series I used to watch called Football's Greatest. First of all, guys,
bring that back, please.
Bring it back, but also like if you're too young to kind of like remember when that was airing on TV, like we had it even in the US. I promise you, like if you really just want to like sit down and like learn more about the game, those documentaries, like we talk about Ballon now. Ballon,
he basically
Football's Greatest walked so Ballon could run, bro. Like Football's Greatest were like the things as kids I used to just watch and just like digest football information.
Same.
And I remember they used to have like this thing. They had rivalries as well too, or derbies or whatever, and they also had managers. And they had one on Rinus Michels, and this guy, man. Like, when you also kind of look at Cruyff's career as a manager as well too, he almost like followed in Rinus Michels' his path as well too. From Ajax, he even coached Barcelona. He obviously coached the Dutch, not just in 74, but also in 88. He's the one that won the Euros with them. But he was kind of, I don't want to say again the originator, because also they say that Rinus Michels learned total football, or he got inspired from it from watching Ferenc Puskas' Hungary in like the 30s and 40s. But he's really the one that brought it mainstream. And that Dutch team never won the World Cup, but that 1974 team it kind of captured the entire world with how they played football, man. They went to the final against Germany, and within 1 minute, they scored a goal off a penalty that was basically won off a move that every single player on the pitch touched the ball. And that's what total football is, right? Total football, the philosophy behind it, the idea behind it is that no player has a set position. Players play roles, and right back can be playing left wing at one point. Left back. And when you think about that, that's kind of what we talk about in today's game.
It's crazy, like, because when you actually watch some of them videos, you actually see Cruyff picking the ball up at left back. You see him picking up the ball at centre back, number 10, striker. So like he was, as I said, the brains of it all.
They say he was actually, so like you said it perfectly. Rinus Michels had the idea of total football, but it was executed, and Cruyff was like the orchestrator on the pitch, bro. He was like, if you want to call it the quarterback or the point guard, he was literally orchestrating the entire team.
It's the same like when we talk about Pep Guardiola and stuff. Like, could Pep Guardiola have really enforced that tiki-taka way without a Xavi.
No.
He couldn't have.
No.
Do you know what I mean? Somebody you have to have, not in the same fashion because it's not as tactical, but Fergie couldn't have done what he did without Roy Keane. That was him on the pitch. Cruyff was Michels on the pitch. Xavi was Pep on the pitch, and it's just.
But you know what's so crazy about that, right? We always attribute that role to kind of a midfielder. We think of the Pirlos, the Xavis, the Roy Keanes. Cruyff was a forward.
Yeah.
Cruyff was basically sometimes playing as the highest advanced player. And again, there's a move when he was playing at Ajax where he picks up the ball from his goalkeeper. Like the goalkeeper rolls it out to him. 15 passes later, Cruyff is finishing the move, bro.
Insane.
It's genius.
Yeah.
And it was happening at a time too where we were just kind of coming from the Inter of Catenaccio, like defensive football, to now a team that can beat you with 1,000 passes.
And the thing is, the reason why, right? And look, you know, often when something gets done, I know the way the world is, like, we're biased to greatness. We're biased to success. So even if I started something and you went and did it and you did it poorly, but then this guy started something and the next person does it amazingly, they're going to say he started it, but I was first. But they're going to say he started it, and because his protege went to the moon. And the reason why I'm saying that is because of, as all the Barcelona fans will correct me, La Masia. He basically took what Ajax created, the model of how Ajax kind of molded their academy, and he brought that over there. And you're seeing the effects of La Masia to this day. But we talk about the great teams that we've ever seen. We talk about the greatest players that we've ever seen. Many of them have come from La Masia.
Or Ajax.
There we go. So for him to kind of take a philosophy from the Dutch, fly into Spain, incorporate that into Spain, make one of the most exciting teams we've ever seen, just actually on the playing field. But while that's all happening, making sure La Masia is perfected, making sure they're following the Ajax way to go and create Iniestas, Busquets, Xavi, Pujols, Piqué, Fabregas, Messi.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? For them to be a core group of one of the great teams we've ever seen, that's Johan Cruyff.
You know, it was crazy. I was watching this video on Twitter today. It was like a 15-second video, but it was just basically Barcelona versus Real Madrid. And it was just focusing on Messi, Iniesta, and Xavi. They highlighted each of them during the play. And I was just thinking to myself, I was like, the fact that they had these three players at one time.
Yeah. And the thing is, Cruyff, I think that's why I think we have to always give flowers to Cruyff. And as you mentioned, I want to touch on one thing you said about legacy. Often people think legacy, as you mentioned, is winning trophies. There's some people that are serial winners. We don't think about them. We don't think about Maxwell. We don't think about certain players. Like, people talk about, we fight hard to keep Seedorf's name in the light. He's won Champions League with 3 different teams. True. We fight hard. Legacy is people completely forget. Legacy is how you are remembered. Some average players have better legacies in the eyes of people than serial winners. Legacy is how you're remembered. And Cruyff will always be remembered, and his legacy is clear for everybody to see. So that's one thing people need to get right with legacy. And that's why I always say, when people are talking about what's KDB's legacy, what's this person's legacy, we have to wait until they retire and maybe wait 3, 4, 5 years.
True.
Then I'll be able to say, oh, that's his legacy. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to say, let's say Frank Lampard, for example. He's got a good legacy because any goal scoring midfielder that comes, that's the next Frank Lampard. That's the next Frank. We're never going to not hear his name. That's the next Lampard. That's legacy, bro. You know what I mean? Some people are going to be great. But when it comes to, like, speaking about them in 5 years, it's going to be, oh yeah, that was that guy that was da-da-da. It's not going to be his legacies touches the hearts, and that's just the way it is.
Nah, it's 100%. I like also the fact, because me and you always have this conversation about who football's greatest men are, right? Like the leading lights of football, and like Cruyff, Beckenbauer, those are really the two for me. But also because they were so intelligent on the pitch, it was almost such a natural transition to then becoming a manager. Because at the time, Cruyff and Beckenbauer, in fact, it's so ironic as well, too, that they were rivals. Like, their teams went all up against Ajax versus Bayern, Netherlands versus Germany, but they were the manager on the pitch. So then the transition to then becoming a manager was so seamless. And then Cruyff as well, too, cooking up that dream team at Barcelona. Like, that's, I mean, obviously, like, the way they ended with Milan, but, like, they're here for a good time, not a long time, bro. That team is one of the most iconic in football history. You think of the Stoichkovs, Michael Laudrup, who, again, we talk about Pep, right? Michael Laudrup is actually the original false nine. Cruyff turned him from an attacking midfielder to a guy that was basically the linchpin of his attack, but also dropping deep, creating spaces.
Cruyff calls him the greatest player of all time or something. I'm sure I saw a quote of he said he's the greatest player of all time.
For me, he's the most underrated player ever.
Ever. That's someone that I need people to go and watch, because obviously I didn't get to watch him live. But bro, when I watch his videos, for me, they're more impressive than 99% of people that I watch. And I'm talking about some people that are called GOATs. Yeah. I'm like, this guy was absolutely, oh my God, incredible. Ridiculous. And hey, shout out him winning a cup with Swansea, innit?
No, facts. There you go, bro. It also went to Real Madrid. I mean,
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like that dream team, like I guess that kind of brings us to the next one, right?
Yeah.
Because just like you said, Cruyff was the orchestrator of total football for Rinus Michels. Pep was kind of like, I don't want to say the linchpin of Barcelona, because that was a great team in general, but he was also basically, Cruyff was using him as like his orchestrator. Basically, Pep was taking Cruyff's ideas from the touchline onto the pitch and making sure that the rest of the team went in. Like he was the guy, he was the original Busquets in terms of defensive midfielder, falls back into center back and playing a 3. Everything kind of goes based on where Pep plays. And now you look at how Pep has taken Cruyff's ideology and then taken it into Barcelona and now Bayern and now City. He's now the new guy that we kind of talk about as the most influential person in the modern era. Yeah. No doubt, right?
Nah, absolutely. I mean, everything we're saying about what he added that Cruyff didn't is the success. Like Cruyff won a few things, but Pep has taken it to another level. So as I mentioned, when somebody does something successfully, it hits more. Of course, that's just the human nature. And Pep has taken what Cruyff has done and taken it to another level in terms of, as I said, winning, in terms of his influence, in terms of his impact. You're looking at now, Cruyff, I would say, influenced certain people who then end up having a massive impact on the game. But Pep feels like he's influenced everyone. Yeah. He feels like everyone has some form of Pep Guardiola in them. You know what I mean? You're looking at the managers in the game today. 90% of them say, I watched Pep. I watched this. I da-da-da. So he has an impact on everything. And I'm not one of them ones that talk about what country he goes to, wins the World Cup and all that type of stuff. But you look at Spain in the 2010 team, 2012 team, that had Pep's ideology running through it. On it for sure. It had his fingerprints running through it. Not so much Germany, but he had quite a few players. I would
still say I wouldn't say 2014 because he was there for a year. Yeah. But I would say you saw the German team the next few years
start trying to go down that path. Yeah. And then England, Gareth Southgate has said on a few occasions that he has looked at Pep Guardiola and he's asked even Man City players about certain things about Pep Guardiola and stuff. So he's just a massive, massive impact wherever he goes. Yeah. And that's the thing. I think it's hard to, as I mentioned, you're talking about legacy. His legacy will never be forgotten. Never be forgotten. No matter what. Look, I know Ferguson's got the most trophies. I don't know where Pep ranks. After that, I actually don't know what the order is for for managers. But this comes down to what we're talking about, legacy. You look at Arrigo Sacchi, for example. His legacy is unbelievable.
He wasn't there for that long.
I don't even know how many trophies he won. Yeah. I don't even know what his... Capello won more. Yeah. Sacchi's legacies, they have it way clear of Capello's. So Pep has everything. And that's why he's so important and so major, because he has the success with the playing style, with the influence. It's something I don't think we have seen to this level before. Crazy. And it'll be hard to see again.
It's kind of like you said with Cruyff. It's like, okay, you're the OG, but and J. Cole has this line, right? He goes basically like, they're always trying to compare Mike and LeBron. Basically, it's like, both came through, both made a change, both made their impact on the game. Who's to say that who's greater? All we know, they ain't the same. Basically, they both impacted the game in such different ways. Like one had the mass success, but one basically put the roots in to even have that success. You look at Pep's 2009 Barcelona team or even 2011, with Messi as the false 9, 4-3-3 with 2 flying fullbacks, 2 narrow wingers. That's basically Cruyff's dream team, bro.
This is dream team. And Cruyff often spoke about it. Yeah. Cruyff often spoke about how proud he is and how much he enjoys watching them Barcelona teams. And
Cruyff, in fact, the whole reason Pep got the Barcelona job is because Cruyff discouraged, basically looked at Mourinho and told the Barcelona, this guy's not a Barcelona manager, and pushed the B team coach. Yeah. He's basically the one that pushed him to the forefront.
That's insane when you think about it. You know what I mean? And look, the thing that we can say about Pep Guardiola, just to kind of summarize it, is that the last 15 years, 16, 17 years, whatever it's been, It's the Pep era.
I always say with
It's the
Pep,
Pep
right?
era.
I always say with Pep, football goes in the direction that Pep chooses it to go.
100%.
And it's always like, football is always a few months late, by the way.
Yeah.
Because Pep will start playing with inverted fullbacks. All of a sudden, everyone's playing with inverted fullbacks. Pep will start playing with 4 center backs. Everyone's playing like that. Pep decides that he doesn't want Aguero anymore, wants to play a false 9. All of a sudden, all the best teams in Europe, they ditch these big man strikers until he brings in a Haaland, and now everyone wants a big man striker again. The thing with Pep, right? And I say this all the time, and I think people used to get annoyed when I say it, but now people are starting to understand what I meant. For me, Pep perfected football. And I say perfect, there's no perfect style of playing football, but in terms of like results and ruthlessness and basically making it so uncompetitive, Pep has done that. Like he's found a formula with football that almost no teams have to be perfect to basically compete with him. The amount of trophy, I think he's lost 3 league titles in his entire career.
I think,
and his average points is like mid 90s.
I think there's only a handful. I might be wrong, or maybe let's say 2 hands worth of teams who have outpossessed a Pep team in a game.
In his 15 years of a manager.
In his career.
That's incredible. But to that point, I say Pep has perfected football. But in a way, for me, he's ruined football as well, too. Because, and I don't even blame him so much, right? Because he's a genius. He's an innovator. He has found this ruthless method. For me, he's ruined football because the rest of the competition isn't innovative in their own right. They look at him and think the only way we can beat him is by replicating him. And it's made it so that now football, everyone plays the same way, or everyone tries to play the same way. Pep's style of play, in fact, in my opinion, is almost more these days like Van Gaal than it is like Cruyff in terms of like, it's such a rigid, systematic way of playing that individualism and flair has kind of been taken out of the game since Pep came in. Like you're seeing now, it's almost more of an analytics game. So the ultimate way I can kind of pay tribute to Pep is saying he perfected football by ruining it, and he ruined it by perfecting it.
And the thing is, often that's what happens when you have GOATs. When GOATs come along, you'd notice when GOATs come along, there's often that talk about this person's ruined, this person's ruined, this. Like, when we talk about Messi and Ronaldo, which I'm going to talk about shortly, but we talk about Messi and Ronaldo, we say they ruined stats. They've made stats. They've ruined the game. As much as we say they perfected it, they've ruined the game. You want to talk about the basketball comparisons. Oh, LeBron's ruined the game by the free agency.
Yeah.
Oh, he's ruined it. Oh, because he's winning everything. Oh, he's ruined it. That's what Michael Jordan. Oh, he's ruined it. That's how it always is. They ruin it, but because they perfect it, and they kind of make it like, as you mentioned, people start to follow. Now LeBron goes somewhere. Now he wants to go and do it. Now KD goes and makes that big move. Now they're like, the game's over.
Yeah.
But do you know where it started? From LeBron.
That's from the Celtics.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's where it always starts. So the game always, when you have a GOAT come along, they always kind of see it as, oh, it's ruined, or the league is a farmers league, or this. So my thing is like, not even so much at Pep. Yeah, as you mentioned, it's more about what the others are doing. Do you know what I mean? It's more about what others do. And not only that, what I think the Pep issue is, not, again, as you mentioned, not him, but what he embodies is what is created around the fan culture for me. Because fans now don't accept their team not trying to pop it
crazy,
from the back.
yeah.
Like, even if there is a manager, a manager might come along and want to do long diag to this one, and then we're going to win the second and we're going to play from there.
They're discouraged, but they're looked upon.
They're discouraged by fans, and they're discouraged by chairmans, because chairmans are now
True.
like, we want to be this, we need to be entertaining, we need to get people through the gates.
You know what it is, right?
So
Pep, like a lot of the greats, like for me, I always bring up the example of Steph Curry. I would say Steph Curry is, again, a guy who almost perfected basketball, but ruined it in a way too that everyone now takes so many threes.
That's a great example.
I always say with Steph, right? Steph gave a lot of he almost made careers for a lot of guys, right?
Yeah.
This era now of guys who aren't really great off the dribble. They're not great mid-range shooters, but they can stretch the floor, be a floor presence, and shoot the ball. They now have careers because of Steph Curry, and he also made so many guys basically obsolete in the game now. Big men who can't stretch the floor, guys who shoot the mid-range, like DeMar DeRozan in the 90s and 80s is a killer. Today, because of the fact that he can't shoot threes, is basically okay in the regular season. We know he's that guy. In the playoffs, he's not that guy. Pep is similar in terms of, like you said now, bro, we even have Ancelotti looked down upon by people because his style of coaching isn't that of an Arteta or a De Zerbi. Even though, bro, he's more successful than all of these guys.
Yeah. It's fact. Zidane, look at how Zidane is spoken about. People genuinely speak like Zidane is a bum who got lucky. Do you know what I mean? And like, because there's no kind of tactical viewpoint. The Steph Curry thing is a great example. It's a fact, because now goalkeepers who are probably just, I'll catch the ball. I'll launch
De
it.
Gea is a dinosaur.
He hasn't even got a club right now. And I don't know why, but he hasn't got a club right now. So
true.
those type of people, and look, even me, I was like, yo, you need to be good on the ball. You know, that's the way it is. Because if you want to win, it kind of seems like you have to go down that path. And as you mentioned, careers are started that way and careers are ended as well. So look at how we speak about Casemiro's and it's like, yo, you can't.
Bro, you can't pick up the ball with the front.
You can't half turn.
It's
You can't.
nuts, man.
Look how Declan Rice is spoken about sometimes. Like, you have to be such a certain way because of Pep Guardiola.
That kind of, you know what? It's actually so funny, right? How our conversations almost like always like go off one. Because I remember a few weeks ago when you were kind of having that conversation about do managers impact the game or the players kind of change their way of thinking. I guess that's going to kind of come over into this episode, right? Because when I was thinking of this topic in terms of most important people in football, not just managers, because we're also going to talk about players here as well too. There was one guy that I was thinking of, but I almost took him away from it because I was like, is it more Pep that kind of birthed this role for him and now we see it more often? Or is it that player coming through that almost gave the idea for Pep to do it? And that's Philipp Lahm. Philipp Lahm, in my opinion, is almost like the OG inverted fullback. A fullback that comes into midfield, gives you a numerical advantage in the midfield, and has the intelligence to kind of play that role. And Pep calls him the most intelligent player he's ever managed. Now, if you believe
Pep
him
says
or not,
that about everybody.
but you know,
about KDB too.
I hear you, but Philipp Lahm
Yeah.
definitely has an argument. I mean,
Yeah,
obviously
for
he's
sure.
coached Xavi, Busquets. I get that, but Philipp Lahm has an argument. And when you talk about managers on the pitch kind of executing a manager's orders, that's Philipp Lahm. And Pep kind of talks about this one game against Chelsea. It was his first season there, 13-14 in the Super Cup, where at halftime, I think it was, he had the idea of putting Philipp Lahm into midfield. And he was so brilliant there and gave his Bayern side such a new outlook on things that he stayed there for the rest of the season. He said he was my most important player this season. But is that more Philipp Lahm or is it more Pep kind of having the idea?
I got a question though with that. When you say that Lahm went into midfield, was Lahm going into midfield and leaving a back three, or was Lahm starting in midfield?
Well, that's the thing.
And then there was still a back four.
At first, it was Lahm going from right back to inverting into midfield and then turning into a back three. And then later in the season, there were games where he was starting in midfield. Yeah. But it started from him inverting into midfield.
Okay, cool. Because I didn't know that he started from the right and then moved in, if you get where I'm coming from. Because you have seen fullbacks go from, I'm a right, but I'm going to play. Not to the extent, because as I said, whoever does it first doesn't mean they're the influencers, because Phil Neville was playing in centre midfield.
Yeah.
And he was
fullback. Playing in midfield. He wasn't like inverting into midfield. That's why for me, Philipp Lahm inverted into midfield.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. John O'Shea's, Phil Neville did it. But you're saying actually coming in and playing in there. Exactly. Yeah. So then you can say, I mean, I don't know. I think that's a bit 50-50. Pep wouldn't have done it if he had a builder there. Do you know what I mean? So he had to see Lahm and see what the capabilities Lahm has. One of those ones is that we may have to actually go back and look at the game that he's speaking about before we come to that conclusion. Because what if there was moments in that game where Lahm just went and done it himself? And then at halftime, Pep was like, yo, I like what you did there. You'll go do that again. Yeah. We don't know. Because if he said it was at halftime that he thought of it, we need to see what happened in the first 45 minutes. Did Lahm just go and do it himself? Yeah. Or was Lahm playing like a normal flying fullback and then he just had this
I ask you that, right? Because like there's some positions where I think you have to specifically give credit to the player.
Yeah.
For me, the biggest one, and I would say he is the most single influential player in the modern era, is Manuel Neuer. In terms of completely changing how a position is viewed before Pep even got his hands on him. Yeah. That's Manuel Neuer. I mean, I look at now the way teams, and I get it. Pep did it a little with Victor Valdez. Victor Valdez was...
It was like René Higuita.
Yeah, Valdez was definitely a ball-playing goalkeeper, no doubt about it. But the one who really changed the way every single team looked at how they wanted to build from the back. Like, he almost was the originator of, okay, we're going to defend from the front because we know we can build from the back in Manuel Neuer. He's basically a midfielder playing in goal, bro.
He's still doing it to this day. He did against Arsenal.
The way he also allowed teams as well, too, to push the lineup further because you had a sweeper keeper who you could rely on, to play out from the back, but also rush off from his line, be imperious, taking over Peter Schmeichel's star technique in terms of being big in goal. Yeah. He's the OG of that now, bro. Every single goalkeeper that we see today, either whether it's playing from a high line or playing from the ball at his feet, whether it's Ederson, Alisson, Courtois, that's from Neuer, bro.
He's the perfect goalkeeper. Right? That's why for me, he's the GOAT. Again, I don't want to say GOATs are the ones that change the game all the time,
Yeah.
but he's the GOAT for me because of what you've mentioned. But it's the fact that he can do everything as well. He can catch it. He can launch it. His throw can go to Lewandowski.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? He can throw it to Neuer. Like, it's insane.
Yeah.
He can do everything.
And he can pinpoint you too. Half volley off
compose. He can act like he's gonna kick it and then just took it to his left foot.
And Broski, I'm serious, guys. If you're interested in like watching old games back, I recommend Footballia, right? I remember a game in particular I watched, like, because sometimes I'll watch games in bunches. Sometimes I'll watch the full game, but typically in bunches. But in the past, I used to really watch games from minute 1 to minute 90 because I used to do content around it. And I'll never forget Chelsea versus Barcelona 2009 when I went back to watch it. And it was staggering to me, also because Valdez was playing on the other team. But it was staggering to me watching Petr Cech in particular, who I consider the greatest goalkeeper in Premier League history, literally every time the ball got to his feet, just launch it forward, bro. Launch it forward. Not always just like accurately to Drogba. Just launch it forward. And that's not his fault. That's just the way the game was played. The minute Neuer kind of came in, we had a guy that, bro.
People start looking at Cech like, hold on a second.
That's what I'm saying. The greatest make the other ones seem obsolete, bro.
Yeah.
Remember there was a period of Petr Cech at Arsenal. We were thinking, bro, he can't hang with the modern guys, bro. That's the greatest goalkeeper in Premier League history.
That's the thing. That's the word is evolution, bro. The game moves on. Now, it doesn't mean the game is always better, but the game moves on.
But that's the subject here. Today we're talking about influence.
Yeah,
we're talking
and the thing is, when you look at the evolution, I don't know what the word is. I would love to see what the dictionary word is for when something actually you go back, which then re-influences again, because bro, it's like fashion. Yeah. You know what I mean? I remember growing up, we used to wear bootcut jeans. Boot cuts. Then you start wearing skinny jeans and everyone was like, yo, how the hell can you be wearing boot cuts? Were laughed at. Yeah. What's back now?
Boot cuts.
Soon skinnies are gonna probably be back.
True.
And then like you see your parents talk to you about, oh, I used to wear that. Oh, your parents will show you a picture of them in like a Letterman jacket. Yeah. I'm like, damn, Letterman jackets are only popping now. I thought it's the new thing. Them man are wearing Letterman jackets in the 60s, 70s.
You know what they say, though? Time is a never-ending cycle, man.
This is what I mean. So just because it's evolved doesn't mean it's bad.
Look at the 4 center backs thing now, bro. We give Pep so much credit for playing with Akanji.
Wes Brown was playing.
Yeah, Wes Brown and O'Shea, bro.
Bro, this is what I'm saying.
It's not about who did it first. It's about who did it right, apparently.
Exactly. That's the thing. Like, so I think it's just like, as you mentioned, it's something where you look at it and it's just like evolution. One person as well that I think actually, now again, his influence, I don't know what you'd say it is, but I think when Zanetti was playing midfield as well, he was somebody
actually
showed like he could play left back, right back, and in midfield.
He was someone, kind of doing it. I wouldn't say he inverted, but he was someone that was so good and so smart that you could play him left back one game and then the very next game play him center midfield. That's a really good shout, actually. I forgot about that. That's a really good shout. You know, Zanetti's one of those ones that gets slept on crazy because he's like, they call him, his nickname is a tractor. He's so like just steady Eddie that everyone forgets about him. But that's a fact, bro. Mourinho was playing him in DM next to like Cambiasso, bro.
That's what I'm saying. So that's one. But yeah, let's move on from that. There's obviously, I'll get on to Messi and Ronaldo later because I feel like Pep is some things people speak about a lot and stuff. So I don't want to go straight Messi and Ronaldo. I want to talk about the social media era. I want to talk about the way we see football now, the way we try and take in content, the way we consume content. I think a massive player in that, in transforming the game from when we used to just go on Team Sport. I don't know if I can name drop other websites on here, but when we used to just go on all these random pages and just see transfer news and all this random stuff into the social media golden age and trying to be personable with footballers. I think Paul Pogba is a massive influence on this new era.
Speak on it.
I think when you look at, first of all, we used to call him the first Vine baller, right? Because you'd only see a 6-second video of Pogba, and it's the greatest 6 seconds of your life.
It always has the dubstep behind it. And then that volley, I think it was against Napoli, where it's coming down to him, and then he just like slices through it and it goes top corner, and then the Vine replay, because Vine it was like it replays over and over. I must have watched that goal a trillion times. I've seen that goal, whether I wanted to or not. I've seen it a trillion times.
I think even so, you're looking at what he did there, right? And you're talking about now. Listen, he's not the first person to do hairstyles, but the hairstyles, the cultural impact that he was having, and also incorporating like pop culture into things. The guy started dabbing.
Yeah. Oh man.
That dab. Yeah. As much as we laugh at it, okay, the Migos brought in the dab, and then he brought that dab into football.
And everyone started doing it,
and then it went absolutely crazy. Everyone was doing it. Fans were doing it. Players were doing it. It took over everything. Then obviously the Pogmojis came and all this type of stuff. Whatever you think of him as a football player, let's just put that to the side. He's not the greatest of all time, whatever. But in terms of his influence and what we see now, the footballer fits and Pogba was doing these type. Now I've never really thought he had drip personally, but he was trying. The lifestyle, the incorporating. I'm an athlete, but here's my lifestyle. That was Paul Pogba before anyone else in this modern social media era.
Man. Even like a guy who used to go to the US and hang with the ballers and hang with the
Jimmy
celebs,
Butler
hang with the rappers and hang with the celebrities.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to say, okay, because here's the thing too. When we talk about, he's not the first one to do it. Beckham is kind of like in his own era, kind of like the innovator of that. But Pogba was the new age guy for that, bro.
The social media, the era that we're living in now, Pogba had such an influence on it. And you see with these young French ballers as well, they often always talk about it as well. He just kind of let footballers feel a little bit more free. And listen, I've been behind the scenes in many of these in the industry, right? Since I've been doing this. Do you know how many of these PR people are hitting up people saying, can you improve my client's Instagram? Can you make his Instagram look cool? Can you guys come with a cameraman and film him going here? Pogba was doing that. Benzema was doing that. And, you know now everybody wants to be doing that.
I think
that's where it starts
I think Pogba as well, too. You have to give him so much credit because he took a lot of the metaphorical bullets for the guys to come after him. The amount of times he used to get killed for doing stuff that now everybody does. He was like, because he was the poster guy and because he did it first and kind of like, you have to be the first one, you have to be brave because you know you're going to get backlash for it.
Yeah, and look, he's the first one where, see with all the dancing stuff, right? The dancing stuff, people dance now, whatever. You saw it. Jude Bellingham just scored a winner at the Clasico and danced. You know what I mean? We see it. I wouldn't say he's the first one, but he's one of the people that, obviously Africans used to dance all the time. But we used to attribute that to culture. When Pogba was doing it, nobody used to be like, oh, it's because he's African.
Yeah.
It was just because he's free. Yeah. He's living life. We're Brazilians. We used to be like, oh, that's Brazilians. Oh, you never used to see Frenchmen dancing like that. They were serious men. Do you know what I mean? And he's the first one that kind of took it from it's culture into this is like hip hop culture. Yeah. This is kind of a different kind of thing. So I actually think like when you look at it, people may think, oh, yeah, he's not great, whatever. But he had a massive influence on what we see as this social media age. He's one of the first ones, I think, that really said, I'm going to embrace it. A lot of people used to hide around it.
True, man.
A lot of people used to not really want to show themselves. And now Pogba has allowed people to feel free. But then again, we're not saying that he learned from Beckham.
Yeah.
But Beckham was that as well in the, I don't know, what the noughties. In the noughties, what they call it. Incorporating pop culture again into Beckham was, listen, Maradona was a celebrity. Pele was a celebrity. There's many people that were celebrities. Gaza to it was a celebrity. But David Beckham was the ultimate.
He's the first one to transcend football. He's the first one to transcend football into culture.
Thank you. It started going from, I'm not even seen as a footballer. I'm a celeb.
I'm a celebrity who plays football. Yeah.
Exactly. And that came from his woman, of course, marrying into the Spice Girl, whatever. But it's also he used to do. Everything that I just said about Paul Pogba, copy and paste and put it about David Beckham.
And you know the thing
hairstyles. This guy was turned up with plaits. Yeah. Next day he's turned up with bald head.
Nelson Mandela with
the guy was slitting his eyebrows, bro. The guy was doing eyebrow slits.
Yeah, it's true.
David Beckham is so influential onto the modern day. People want to be celebrities now, bro, because it started there. Yeah. I think it went from Beckham, took a little bit of a break.
Cristiano as well too.
Cristiano, of course.
Everyone wanted the slicked hair, the what's it called, the thing on your socks.
We're gonna talk about Messi and Ronaldo.
Yeah.
They're their own entities. Yeah. And then Pogba, I think, for the actual socials. I think that's how it went.
Beckham as well, too, had it so tough when you think about it, right? Because also, Pogba definitely had it tough, especially as a black man. The media, he's playing in England, playing for Man United, the highest. He, for me, honestly, man, like, looking back on it now, it was almost it's almost like a witch hunt on him, to be honest with you. But Beckham really had it difficult in his own right? I'm not trying to compare the two of them, but he had it difficult in his own right because he was also right in the era as well too, where footballers were seen as like it's like an occupation, bro. Like these are just men going to work, getting dirty, getting at it, and then going home and being a family man or whatever. And like, especially the culture he's coming around at United as well too, right? Like working class background. Sir Alex has these guys basically on like routine, and now you have this guy who is basically like rocking up the football games with his head shaved off after being basically the poster boy for like handsome in England. Like, that's crazy, bro. Meeting Nelson Mandela with the hairstyles he does. Like, he was basically like, bro, 100%. And this is an era where, like, especially in England, you have like the Vinnie Jones and the Roy Keanes. And you have this pretty boy like David Beckham, who also happens to be the face of his national team, too, the captain. So you have to give him so much credit.
It was massive. And as I said, it follows into like Ronaldo's. It follows into, I wouldn't say Messi, but it follows into Ronaldo. Everything that Pogba did and stuff, and Ronaldo was like a mixture of the both of them. Because he's the GOAT of social media in terms of he's the most followed person on Instagram, he's the most followed person in the world, and all put everything together. He's got over 1 billion in followers.
But can I say this one last thing about Beckham before we go into Ronaldo? Because
and I want to talk about with Beckham, bend it like Beckham.
Yeah, of course.
Everybody was trying to put on the boots, but that's a different type of influence, which I think Ronaldo touches into as well.
But for me, Beckham, I think it's good that you bring that up, because again, it shows like how he was able to transcend the sport and bring it into media and bring it into Hollywood. And it was so influential that no matter how brilliant of a footballer David Beckham is, he is, for me, very underrated. Like, he's such a good player. Real Madrid didn't buy him to be a player, bro. Real Madrid bought a player purely because of the marketing strength that he would bring to that club. Florentino Perez brought him in, disrupted his entire team, took away the heartbeat of his team purely because of his marketing value. We've never seen that as a player before.
And he says that no matter what happened on the pitch,
he would have done it again.
That was one of his best ever investments. But David Beckham was
the shirt sales.
He was a massive, massive investment. I think, like as you said, like it depends what you see as influence on the game. There's certain things that can be influential in a small capacity and stuff. But as we're saying, the fact that he had a film named after him is really, and the film, if anyone's watched it, it's about, I don't want to say, I believe it was Indians. It's about an Indian woman trying to be like Beckham. Like the cultural difference. It's insane just how much he touched different people, different cultures. But I want to talk about how, which is similar to, and I guess you can credit Adidas for that, but it's the way that he was that really marketed player. And that was similar to Paul Pogba. But it's Cristiano Ronaldo. Man, I think like, I was talking off air about Ronaldo, right? With the Ronaldo Messi thing. Listen, Messi's the GOAT. But if we're talking about influence,
it's Ronaldo.
It's Cristiano Ronaldo. Yeah. Like, if we are talking about the influence of a football player, I don't think there's ever been someone like Ronaldo. I think he is the most influential actual football player of all time. And the reason why I'll say that, right, is let's talk about him as a footballer first, right?
Speaks for itself.
Him as a football player is obviously an all-time talent. That's one. Two, the nature, I think he was the first one to really say, do you know what? Stats from Weidman. Yeah, you man are about to hear this. When he put that 42 goal season down, I think the world changed. I think everybody viewed wingers in a different way. I think everybody looked at it and like, yeah, I need my winger to be able to score me goals, invert, do this. He changed that. I think when you look at you hear about all the stories about how hard he worked in the gym.
He's an all-time mentality
athlete. I'm not going to sit
not
here
even all-time athlete. He's an all-time competitor.
Yes.
Like the Kobe Bryant school of mentality.
Exactly. How people talk about, yes, everyone went to the gym. But the way he came and he was the nutritionist, the yoga, the diet, he has motivated and inspired so many people. And I actually think you're looking at this new age of athletes.
Of course, it comes from
I think Ronaldo has a big hand in that. I think Ronaldo has a big hand in us looking for this chiseled, tall, slender athletes. I think a lot of that comes from Cristiano, and so many people that have worked with him, he's rubbed off on them in that way. True, now, let's not even talk about, listen, he's got the looks and all that type of stuff.
I mean, the Mercurials, he basically, he transcended the face that. He took Nike football to the moon.
He transcended that in terms of everybody, all the women fancied him, all this type of stuff. But let's talk about us as kids as well.
Can I tell you this, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was always a Messi guy.
Yeah.
I'll never shy away from that. But I have to be honest, bro. I wanted to be like Ronaldo, man.
Everyone did.
I wanted the slicked hair. I wanted the mercurials, the white tape on my socks,
bro.
Even the free kick stance, bro.
Yes.
Every free kick I took, whether it went to the moon or it hit the wall.
Yes. Bro. And you were talking about that, the free kicks, the way he was, the boots, as you're saying, the tape, you know what I mean, the racing, the Bugattis, everything that Ronaldo did, the way Nike marketed him, not to the extent of Michael Jordan, because that was just, you'll never get that again.
Different.
But the way they marketed that CR7 brand, how often do you even call him Cristiano Ronaldo? You say CR7.
Yeah.
He is a brand entity, bro. And now everybody is this 7, this 9. Obviously there was R9, there was DB7 and stuff, but it's a different level when you look at what Cristiano has done. Nike did so well with R9. They did so well with Ronaldinho, but it just went to another stratosphere with Cristiano. And finally, the suit.
And you know what it is, the suit, right? It was so...
can I just say something quickly?
Yeah, go ahead.
Ronaldo has had many celebrations,
by the way. That's another thing with his influence, bro. His celebrations always go nuclear.
Always go. Ronaldo was doing this.
Yeah, he did this. Now he has like
He was doing this. He did calm
the
at
calma,
the stadium.
Yeah.
I remember even he got into FIFA for laying on the floor.
Yeah. The knee slide. He was a gun. United, the knee slide. Oh my days.
But when Ronaldo did the Sue, come on, bro. There's never been a more...
That's the most...
It's the most famous celebration in history of sport.
And I remember when he first did that Sue at the Ballon d'Or ceremony. I remember I was like, what the hell is this guy doing, bro?
Sue!
And then the next game, he started doing the Sue. No, it was that game against Chelsea in pre-season.
Henri was looking at him
where he just did Sue.
Yeah, when he did the Sue, Henri was like... Henri was like, I'm not ready for this new generation, bro. What's wrong? These men are neeks.
All right, but hold on. Henri can't be talking like that, bro. Henri was the one like flexing every single time he scored, bro.
Yo, when he did this Sue, but now honestly...
too, Ronaldo, the ripping off the shirt. Bro, he is the GOAT of celebrations, for sure.
And then I want to talk about, where it comes into Messi is, have we ever seen a more influential rivalry in the sport?
Forget about in the sport. In sport, have we ever seen a more influential rivalry than Ronaldo and Messi?
This is what I was about to say. So we have seen greats. We have seen Pele, but he came, and then we had then Maradona, whatever. The debate was Pele and Maradona. They didn't play with each other. They didn't play against each other. You look at Jordan and LeBron.
Never played with each other.
Didn't do it. You look at Brady, Mahomes.
They've crossed over. The only one that's ever you can even compare it to is in tennis with Nadal, Djokovic and Federer.
And you can kind of compare it in a way to, maybe the George Foremans and Lyes and what's his name, Joe Frazier's.
But I think what also makes them as well too, right?
Mm-hmm.
In tennis is the closest one for me that you can compare it to because how long they did it, but also even still Federer was before Djokovic and like the end kind of met the middle with Djokovic. It wasn't like at their peaks. With Messi and Ronaldo, you had two guys around the same age at the best level in the world, 1 and 2 so very clearly for 10 to 15 years, bro.
And this is what I'm trying to say. So it comes into what I'm saying with Ronaldo, but I think he sparked that rivalry.
Of course.
Now, I know he's older than Messi, so obviously Messi had to come and make it a thing. But Ronaldo took that like, oh, I'm taking on this assignment.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't wanted to spawn some alien. I'm taking on this assignment. And whether people like it or not, whether people want to rewrite history and act like it was never a debate now,
debate, bro. The amount of times I used to argue with my friends.
I'm not hearing the revision. Every single human being that watched football went into school either Ronaldo or Messi. I don't care who you are. You were either Ronaldo or Messi. It was like the Bloods and the Crips.
It's true, bro.
Pick a side.
Yeah.
There's bro, you get neutrals and this. There's no neutral with Ronaldo and Messi. Pick a side.
People used to walk into El Clasicos.
Yes.
They didn't watch Barcelona or Real Madrid all season. But the minute those two were on TV,
pick a side. Bro, I was in barber shops getting my hair cut by the yardie man. He's Ronaldo. The guy sitting down drinking the Guinness. He's Messi.
And it's always the arguments each take. Yes. One of them's like, well, he's pure talent. And he's pure hard work. Yeah. And that's why I like Ronaldo better. And then it's like, well, bro, this is a God-given talent and no one can ever touch this.
And these are the days some days Messi hasn't really downloaded the free kick package. Yeah, but Ronaldo's got free kicks. And then he's got, he can header. But Messi ain't got a right foot.
It's like Messi can play making stuff. But Ronaldo has no weak, Ronaldo left foot center. And then there was a period when Ronaldo won the Euros and it's like, oh, Messi's an international fraud. And now the World Cup changed everything.
Bro.
3 Champions Leagues versus the treble.
Listen,
my days,
we cannot. People sit there and act like it's not. It was never a debate. It was a debate, and of course it was a debate because Ronaldo has won 5 Ballon d'Ors. Ronaldo did not win 5 Ballon d'Ors when Messi didn't exist. People, he won it on Messi's head.
Yeah.
Messi won his 8 on Ronaldo's head. It was boop. It was a rivalry, and for me, that is the most influential, standout rivalry in sport. In my opinion. We think about what we're trying to do now. Mbappe v Haaland.
We're trying to guess it up.
Musiala v Foden.
You know what this is?
Saka v Foden.
You know what this is really, bro. Like, and I think people started saying it towards the last few years of Messi and Ronaldo, basically saying, "Oh, when they're gone, bro, I feel bad for the next gen."
Yeah,
it's like you were on this 15-year high, bro.
Yep.
You were partying for 15 years.
Yeah.
And the next 5 years is like a hangover, bro.
And
hey, the sobriety is cooking us, bro.
Yeah, and then the influence, and we're talking about the influence that they've left off is that honestly, I feel like nothing ever feels good enough anymore.
Do you remember the days? Do you remember the days?
25 goals.
I was gonna say, do you remember the days where a striker who hit 20 goals in the league, hey, brilliant season, bro. David Villa hits 20 in the league. Hey, he might be the best striker. Torres hits 23. Yeah. Yo, he's a baller. Yeah. Bro, if you don't hit 30 now is like, oh, yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Messi and Ronaldo lifted the standard to it's like 40, 50 or nothing.
Or
bro.
Nothing. And I think that's the influence they've left off. Like, we're still kind of on the come down. We're still on the come down of, okay, they're not here no more. Yeah. They're not here no more. We have to adjust our mentality. Yeah. Yes, 20 from this guy is good. Yes, 15 and 8 from this guy is actually good. We still haven't processed that yet. We have literally, I remember I was talking with my boys and they were saying Mbappe hasn't done it in the Champions League. Like, I was like, yeah, we're warped. We're finished, bro. Mbappe hasn't done it in the Champions League.
Who has then?
I'm like, we're finished. We're finished, bro. Like,
nuts,
and
man.
That's what they've left off. And
nuts,
I think, yes, I've mentioned Messi a lot in that, but I do think so much of it stems from Cristiano.
But when we're talking about influence, I completely agree, bro. There is one more that I kind of want to touch on. I don't know if you guys, I think you want to touch on Drogba a little towards the end, but I want to talk about, if I'm speaking close to home with United, it's tough, right? Because I think Sir Alex has to be in this conversation. I think sometimes with modern fans, people find it very difficult to give Sir Alex his credit when it comes to influence because it's not as obvious as a tactician like Pep or an Arrigo Sacchi or a Johan Cruyff, because Sir Alex didn't really have a style of play that transcended the next 30 years, even after he's gone, right? But I think his influence comes in different ways. I think, the class of 92, the way he completely changed Manchester United, the way he completely changed English football as well, too. And
not spoken about
enough. Not spoken about enough whatsoever.
Premier League's the biggest brand in the world.
100%. And Manchester United were the face of it.
We forefronted it.
And they became, under him, the biggest club in the world, marketing-wise.
Yeah.
Now, Real Madrid, of course, the allure, the Champions Leagues, I get that. But under Sir Alex, and how much credit you want to give him or not, it was his success that was driving it. They became the biggest name in football. But I want to go even further into that, and I want to give credit to one guy in particular for the start. And he wasn't there for that long, really, when you look at the grand scheme of things, when you compare him to a Giggs or a Rooney or a Scholes. He wasn't there as long as them. But I think his impact was such that Man United would not be where they are today. I don't think Sir Alex has the success he does. I don't think the class of 92 has the success they does. And that might be a crazy statement without that guy. And for me, that's Eric Cantona. I think Eric Cantona is possibly the most influential figure in the Sir Alex Ferguson era. I truly believe that. Now, I've heard the stories from my dad because my dad is the biggest Cantona fan ever. Like, you ask him who's his favorite 2 players ever, it's that guy behind you, Maradona, and it's Eric Cantona. And that's because I think Eric Cantona coming into Man United gave them a swagger, bro. It gave them like this feel that they became unbeatable. And it's so weird when you look at him, right? Because before that, he was never like this huge player. Like people knew who he was, but almost like as a bad boy, as like a maverick at Leeds, at Marseille. He won the league, but he was when United signed him, bro. It was almost like, oh, you guys are touching like no one really wants to manage Eric Cantona, man. The French national team basically boycotted him from the team because he was a persona. But I think Sir Alex managed to kind of like hone him in and like give him a sense of importance. And like he was one of those guys. Like Sir Alex was a tough manager, right? And he was tough with certain guys. But Cantona was one of those players he recognized, yo, I gotta let him be him. And the influence that he had on the class of 92, kind of being the elder statesman for those guys to learn under, being the figurehead and the focal point for those early successful United teams. You talk about influence. That guy was banned for 9 months because he kung fu kicked a fan. Yeah. They didn't win the league because of that. He came in and I think they won the double, bro.
Yeah, I think I'll go one up. I think you were saying for Manchester United, right? Yeah. I think it's Premier League. Think of the Premier League.
You reckon you're gonna give him the credit of like the first foreign superstar?
He is the reason. Not I wouldn't say the reason, but he is a major influence on what the Premier League is now. Like it wasn't an Englishman that brought through this Premier League. It was a foreign player. Like the league is now littered with its foreign. I think it's nearly becoming 50-50 soon in terms of English to foreign influence. He is the reason. You started seeing after that Chelsea, Kings Road boys bringing in all these foreigners. You started seeing all this David Ginola. You started seeing Dennis Bergkamp. All of these people. Eric Cantona, when the Premier League, when Sky and the Prem said, we are going to make this incredible league. He won the last one, by the way. Yeah. He won the last English division.
And he won the first one as well.
And then he won the first Premier League as the king. Yeah. King Cantona.
King Eric, yeah.
King Eric. Yeah. He followed it through. He is the most influential player in the Premier.
And I think you have, like, again, I go back to that class of 92.
We're talking about Henry. Frenchman.
No,
and
you know what?
Guess where it started?
Yeah, no, it's true. The French swagger, bro. Honestly, like Cantona with the collar popped and the swagger. You remember that chipped goal where he's just kind of strolling around like I'm him.
We're talking about iconic. We're talking about legacies.
I find him, for me, the most like forgotten about superstar in Premier League history. Like the way we talk about the Thierry Henrys, we talk about
for our age.
No, of course, but
the
again,
older gen.
No, bro, they'll all tell you.
They'll talk about Cantona,
bro. Yeah. I'm telling you, my dad, the way he talks about him. It's like you're talking about the greatest of all time.
Yeah, time just eventually passes.
Of course.
Bergkamp is now about to become forgotten.
Yeah.
Then we're going to start getting to kind of like Van Nistelrooy's forgotten. Then we're going to get to Drogba's forgotten. It's just slowly. Some will stay like Henry. Like, of course. It's soon just going to be. That's just the way the game goes.
I find it crazy, right? Because again, we started the episode talking about legacy. We're going to finish it off. Cantona's legacy is, for me, everything that came after him. Yeah. The class of 92 is not as success. I don't know if those kids managed to become the stars they become without he's like a mentor for them, bro. Yeah. They were allowed to mess up in the beginning. They were allowed to grow and develop because they had this guy who was going to run the game for them, bro.
And the thing about it, is I think, I don't care. It may sound because I'm a United fan or what. I don't really care what people think. But if you are the greatest influence on Manchester United Football Club under Sir Alex Ferguson, who was the most dominant manager in Premier League history, you are the most influential player in the Premier League history. I don't care.
Yeah.
That is the reality. People always want to take away a Man United player from the team, all-time teams, and Neville was rubbish, and Keane was rubbish, and Scholes was it. We're leaving with Saturn, mate. Yeah. Cantona is the most influential player in Premier League history, bro. He's the biggest influence on the biggest and most successful club of all time in the Premier League. End of discussion for me.
I completely agree. Hey, King Garrick, I gave you my salutes. That's for my dad as well too, man. But I think you wanted to kind of end it off on one.
We can leave that. We've
talked about.
I've got a viral flipping clip on that. We don't need to talk about that. Everybody knows about
100%.
what happened there, man.
Guys.
These are only a few throwing you lots.
Yeah, no, 100%. That's what I was gonna say. Let us know some of those like influential players, whether it's a position that they revolutionized or changed. Like we might hear some, Trent is revolutionizing the right back position. And again, like you said, legacy, you can only really know once he's gone, but you're kind of seeing the building blocks of potentially the new age fullback. Yeah, we gave you some good ones. Let us know in the comment section below.
And we're only talking about don't only give us England, bro. Give us other. You know what? I want to hit one for the Serie A.
Yeah.
Somebody give me who transformed the Serie A. I want to learn things.
They're gonna give us Helenio Herrera from Inter. I think they'll give us. But I think you were talking about fullbacks, right? There was this one that I was reading about. And for me, it's way before my end, so I don't want to I'm not gonna speak on something I don't know about enough about. I think his name was Jalma Santos or something like that. There was this right back for Brazil even before Carlos Alberto in the 40s and 50s, that he became the prototype for every single attacking fullback to come out of Brazil, and then later on that came on. So guys, let us know, educate us, bro. We'll give you some of our insight, you give us some of your insight as well too in the comments.
There's so many that I feel like we've even forgot. We didn't speak about Florentino Perez. We didn't speak about the Galactico impact on what it's done.
We might have to make a part 2. When's Perez's birthday?
Didn't speak about,
BR, let us know when Perez's birthday.
We didn't speak about Roman Abramovich.
Yeah.
What he did to the Premier League. Wow.
Maybe we'll make that
maybe
we'll make that another episode in the future where we purely look at executives and owners that change the outlook of their teams. But yeah, guys, this has been another episode of the Eye Test. I actually really enjoyed this one.
It was good vibe, man.
Honestly, we hopping into our historian bags. But seriously, I would really recommend. I don't know if I should be propping up other people, but football's greatest, man. If you can find it, a time. They're all on YouTube. They all upload all of them. Go check them out, man. Honestly. But guys, this has been the Eye Test. Shout out to BR Football as usual for powering this podcast. Can't do it without them. But like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. It's been myself, Lyés, my boy CultureCams. We'll see you next time. Peace.